Let me ask you something. Have you ever sat in a room full of people and felt like you were the only one who actually noticed what was really going on? Or maybe you've spent your whole life being told you're too sensitive, too quiet, or too much in your head, while deep down, something in you knew there was more going on beneath the surface. Here's what psychology is now starting to confirm. Some of the traits that society labels as weaknesses, the overthinking, the self-doubt, the restlessness, are actually hallmark signs of a highly intelligent mind. And most genuinely gifted people never even realize it. Today, we're going to break down 8 hidden signs, backed by psychological research, that you might be far more intelligent than you've ever been told. Stay till the end because sign number 7 surprises almost everyone. You talk to yourself. You narrate your day. You argue with yourself in the shower. You rehearse conversations before they happen. Most people think this is a little weird. Psychologists think it's a sign of exceptional self-regulation. A 2012 study published in the Quarterly Journal of Experimental Psychology found that people who verbalize their thoughts out loud while working through problems demonstrate significantly higher levels of cognitive control and focus. Self-talk is how the intelligent mind organizes complexity. It's an internal processing tool, not a quirk. If you've been quietly narrating your life, you're not losing it. You're thinking at a deeper level than most. Your chronically curious geniuses don't just know things, they need to know things. Not for status, not to impress anyone, just because not knowing feels genuinely uncomfortable. Psychologist Todd Kashdan, author of Curious, found that intellectual curiosity is one of the strongest predictors of long-term life satisfaction, creativity, and problem-solving ability, often more predictive than raw IQ scores. The highly intelligent mind doesn't accept that's just the way it is. It pushes, it questions, it turns the thing over and looks at it from every angle. If you've always felt a pull toward understanding the why behind everything, that's not obsession. That's your brain doing what it was built for. You struggle to sleep because your mind won't quit. You lie down, the room goes quiet, and then your brain lights up. Connections form, problems resurface, ideas arrive. Researchers at the University of New South Wales found that individuals with higher cognitive ability tend to experience significantly more mental activation during periods of rest, making it genuinely difficult to fall asleep. This isn't anxiety. This isn't a disorder. This is what happens when a high-powered brain doesn't have an off switch. Some of history's most productive minds, Darwin, Tesla, Churchill, were all notorious insomniacs. You're in interesting company. You feel like an outsider in most social situations. You're not antisocial. You actually enjoy real conversation. But small talk, surface-level interaction, you'd rather be alone. Evolutionary psychologist Satoshi Kanazawa's research suggests that highly intelligent individuals are actually less satisfied by frequent social interaction than the general population, not because they dislike people, but because their cognitive needs simply aren't met by shallow exchanges. The brilliant mind craves depth, meaning, and genuine connection. If most social situations leave you feeling oddly drained and disconnected, that's not a personal failure. It's a sign that your standards for real conversation are simply higher than what the average setting provides. You have a dark or highly specific sense of humor. Humor is one of the most underrated cognitive skills. A 2017 study in the journal Cognitive Processing found that people who excel at dark or absurdist humor have significantly higher verbal and nonverbal intelligence scores. They also tend to score higher on emotional stability. Why? Because this kind of humor requires you to hold multiple layers of meaning simultaneously, recognize irony, subvert expectations, and process discomfort through a creative lens. If you've always found yourself laughing at things others don't quite understand, your humor isn't strange, it's sophisticated. You constantly second-guess yourself. This one surprises people. Isn't confidence a sign of intelligence? Not necessarily. Psychologist David Dunning, of the famous Dunning-Kruger effect, found that genuinely intelligent people are more likely to question their conclusions, second-guess their assumptions, and worry that they've missed something. Why? Because a high-functioning mind is aware of its own complexity. It knows how many variables exist. It understands how much it doesn't know. Meanwhile, the Dunning-Kruger effect shows us that people with limited knowledge often feel the most confident, precisely because they can't see what they're missing. Your self-doubt isn't weakness, it's intellectual honesty. It's your brain holding itself to a higher standard. You were a late bloomer. Here's the one that changes everything for a lot of people. Most of us were sold the idea that genius shows up early. Prodigies, straight-A students, people who had it together by 25. But a growing body of research challenges that completely. Psychologist Rich Lazarus and historian David Gallinson both documented what they called the experimental innovator, a type of highly gifted individual who doesn't peak early through sudden insight, but builds mastery slowly through decades of trial, error, and accumulation. Cezanne didn't paint his best work until his 60s. Raymond Chandler published his first novel at 51. Vera Wang didn't enter the fashion industry until 40. Late blooming is not failure on a delay. For many intelligent minds, it is the pattern. If you feel like your best work is still ahead of you, psychology says you might be right. You find it hard to explain how you know what you know. You just see the answer. You can't always walk someone through it. You just know. This is what psychologists call intuitive reasoning, and it's one of the most powerful and least understood forms of intelligence. Research from the Max Planck Institute for Human Development found that experts in complex fields, from chess grandmasters to seasoned surgeons, often make their best decisions through rapid pattern recognition rather than step-by-step logic. The brain, after absorbing years of information and experience, begins to process below the level of conscious thought. It synthesizes, it compares, it arrives at conclusions faster than language can follow. If people have ever told you, "How did you know that?" and you couldn't fully explain it, that's not luck. That's a deeply trained mind operating at full capacity.